The apartment in Denver's Capitol Hill neighborhood smells like lavender and lies. Alec Warren stands in the doorway of his own bedroom, keys still dangling from his right hand. He'd come home early because the supply run to Ferguson's hardware on Colfax took half the time he expected. The truck is still running outside, engine ticking in the May afternoon heat. Jace, his business partner, is pulling his shirt on. Selene, his wife, hasn't moved from the bed yet, sheet pulled to her chest, eyes wide but not surprised. Not sorry, just caught. The lavender candle on the nightstand is still burning. Alec's first thought is absurdly practical. That candle's a fire hazard if left unattended. His second thought doesn't come in words at all. It's a sensation, like the floor has turned to sand beneath his work boots. Everything he built his life on, the marriage, the partnership, the trust, is collapsing grain by grain, and he can't find solid ground. He doesn't yell, doesn't ask questions. The scene in front of him answers everything. Jace opens his mouth, then closes it. Smart man. There's nothing he can say that would matter. Selene finally moves, swinging her legs over the side of the bed, reaching for the silk robe Alec bought her for Christmas. The one he saved up for because she'd mentioned it once, casually, while they were walking through Cherry Creek Mall. Alec, she starts. He turns and walks out. His hands don't shake until he's back in the truck. The diesel engine rumbles as he sits there, staring at the apartment building's brick facade. It's a converted warehouse with exposed ductwork in the hallways, the kind of place young professionals flock to because it feels authentic. He and Selene moved in 3 years ago, back when the neighborhood was still affordable, before the breweries and artisan coffee shops multiplied like weeds. The steering wheel is warm under his palms. He can hear his own breathing, harsh and quick, competing with the engine's steady growl. If you're wondering whether you'd handle this moment differently, hit that subscribe button. Because what comes next isn't what you'd expect. He drives. Not home. That's not home anymore. Not to his mother's place in Aurora or anywhere that requires explanation, comfort, or the performance of grief. He just drives south on Broadway, past the restaurants and vintage shops and yoga studios, letting muscle memory guide the truck while his mind tries to process betrayal in stereo. Jace, his business partner for 7 years. The guy who'd been his friend since they met in trade school, who'd stood beside him when they took the leap to start Warren and Associates Plumbing, who knew every password, every client contact, every detail of the business they'd built from a single van and a Craigslist ad. And Selene, his wife of 6 years, the woman he'd supported through her graphic design career changes, her anxieties, her mother's cancer scare, who knew where he kept his spare keys, his bank account information, his vulnerabilities. They'd found each other and decided he was expendable. The thought doesn't make him angry yet. It will. But right now, sitting at a red light on Evans Avenue, watching a woman walk her dog past a taco shop, he just feels empty, scooped out, like someone reached into his chest and removed something essential, leaving a cavity that echoes. His phone buzzes. Selene. He declines the call. It buzzes again immediately. Jace this time. Decline. By the time he reaches the extended stay America off I-25, he's declined 14 calls. The hotel room smells like industrial cleaning solution and other people's temporary problems. Alec sits on the edge of the bed, still in his work clothes, Dickies pants with plaster dust on the knees, a navy blue company shirt with his name embroidered over the pocket. His hands rest on his thighs, palms up, like he's waiting for something to be placed in them. The explanation, the apology, the sense of it all. His phone lights up on the nightstand. Selene again. He watches it ring, watches her name flash across the screen with the photo he took of her last summer at Sloan's Lake, sundress and genuine smile. The phone goes dark. 30 seconds later, it lights up again. This time he answers. Alec, Jesus, finally. I'm listening, he says. His voice sounds normal, which surprises him. Steady, almost curious. There's a pause. In the background, he can hear their apartment, her apartment now. He corrects himself. The refrigerator hum. Traffic from Downing Street. It's not what you think, she starts, and even she seems to know how ridiculous that sounds because she stops abruptly. Okay, Alec says. Not agreeing, just acknowledging that she spoke. Are you coming back? We need to talk about this. Do we? Another pause, longer this time. He can picture her in the living room, pacing between the thrift store couch and the bookshelf they assembled together, the one with the crooked middle shelf because he'd lost the instructions halfway through. You're being childish, Selene says, and there it is. Not remorse. Not guilt. Accusation. As if his reaction to finding his wife in bed with his business partner is the real problem here. Comment below. What would you say to her right now? Because Alec's about to say something that changes everything. I'm filing for divorce, Alec tells her, and hangs up. The phone immediately starts ringing again. He powers it off completely, sets it face down on the nightstand, and lies back on the polyester comforter. The ceiling has a water stain shaped like Texas. He stares at it until the room gets dark, until the headlights from I-25 start painting moving shadows across the walls. He doesn't cry, rage, or drink himself stupid from the liquor store across the parking lot. He just laid there. The lawyer's office in downtown Denver is all glass and steel, the kind of place that charges by the quarter hour. Margaret Chun, 50-something, no nonsense, with reading glasses on a beaded chain, listens to Alec's story without interrupting. When he finishes, she leans back in her chair. Colorado's a no-fault divorce state, she says. The affair is irrelevant legally. What matters is asset division. You own the business together. 50-50 partnership. Property. We rent. Car is in my name, paid off. She has her own car, lease in her name. No kids. Joint checking account with about $8,000 in it. Savings with $22,000. Margaret makes notes on her yellow legal pad. This could be clean. Quick. You want clean and quick. Alec thinks about it. About dragging Selene through depositions and court dates, making her explain the affair to strangers, watching Jace squirm under questioning. Yeah, he says. Clean and quick. And the business? This is where it gets complicated. Warren and Associates isn't just a name. It's client relationships, reputation, 7 years of sweat equity. It's the van with their logo on the side, the tools they've accumulated, the contracts with property management companies across the metro area. It's also the thing that ties him to Jace indefinitely. I want out, Alec says. I'll take my share of the current assets and walk away. He can keep the business name, the clients, everything. Margaret's eyebrows rise slightly. You're leaving money on the table. Future earnings. I don't want to be connected to him anymore. Not legally, not professionally, not in any way that requires me to hear his name or see his face. She studies him for a moment, then nods. I'll draw up the dissolution paperwork. For what it's worth, Mr. Warren, this is probably the most mature response to infidelity I've seen in 20 years of practice. Alec doesn't tell her it's not maturity. It's survival. Staying tied to Jace and Selene, fighting over money and assets and who wronged who, means letting them live in his head rent-free for years. Fighting means engagement, and engagement means they still matter. He's choosing irrelevance instead, the radical act of simply walking away. Jace finally shows up at the extended stay on a Thursday evening. Alec's been there for 9 days, living out of his truck and a duffel bag, eating takeout from the Chipotle next door, and working through the plan that's been taking shape in his mind. The knock is hesitant. Alec opens the door. Jace looks terrible. Unshaven, rumpled shirt, eyes red-rimmed like he's been drinking or crying or both. Can we talk? About what? Don't do this, man. Don't ice me out like this. Alec steps aside, lets him enter. Jace paces the small room like a trapped animal, running his hands through his hair. It was a mistake, Jace says. A stupid, fucked-up mistake. We were working late. She stopped by with food. We'd been drinking. How long? Jace stops pacing. What? How long has it been going on? The pause tells Alec everything. This wasn't a drunken mistake. This was a pattern. For months, Jace finally admits. Maybe 5. 5 months. While Alec was bidding jobs, managing schedules, handling the paperwork Jace always avoided. While he was coming home to Selene every night, believing the life they'd built together was real. If you're feeling that twist in your gut right now, you're not alone. And if you want to see how Alec turns this betrayal into something they'll never see coming, smash that like button. Okay, Alec says. Okay, that's it. I'm dissolving the partnership. My lawyer will send the paperwork. I'm taking my half of the business assets and I'm done. You can keep the name, the clients, everything else. Jace's expression shifts from guilt to confusion to something that might be relief. You're just walking away? Yeah. What about the contracts? Noah's building renovation, Natalie's apartment complex project, Lizzie's commercial properties? Those are huge jobs, man. We need both of us. You'll figure it out. Alec, come on. Be pissed. Yell at me. Hit me if you want. But don't do this cold shoulder shit. We've been friends since. We're not friends. Alec's voice doesn't rise, doesn't sharpen. It's simply factual, like he's reading from a manual. Friends don't fuck each other's wives. Partners don't betray trust for convenience. So no, Jace. We're not friends. We're two people who used to know each other, and now we don't. Jace stares at him. You're really going to throw away 7 years over this? You already did that. I'm just accepting it. After Jace leaves, deflated, confused, probably heading back to Selene to tell her Alec's being unreasonable, Alec sits down with his laptop and pulls up his client contact list. Some of his best work has been for repeat clients. Property managers who call Warren and Associates first because they know Alec will show up, do quality work, and charge fairly. People like Noah, who manages a portfolio of rental properties in Lakewood. Scott, who owns a small chain of auto shops across the metro area. And the big prospects, Natalie, who's about to break ground on a 150-unit apartment complex in Thornton, and Lizzie, who oversees maintenance for 3 commercial office buildings downtown. These aren't just client names in a database. These are relationships Alec built. Conversations over coffee. Reliable service during emergencies. Trust earned over years. And Jace is about to learn exactly what happens when that trust follows Alec out the door. The email to Noah is straightforward. Hey Noah, Alec here. Wanted to give you a heads up that I'm leaving Warren and Associates. Personal reasons, nothing to do with the quality of work. I know you've got the building renovation coming up, and I wanted to make sure you're taken care of. I'd recommend calling Mountain Plumbing Solutions. Ask for Derek. Tell him I sent you. They're solid, fair pricing, and they'll treat you right. Best of luck with the project. Alec. He sends similar emails to Scott, Natalie, and Lizzie. Not bad-mouthing Jace or explaining the situation. Just offering genuine guidance, one professional to another, making sure they land safely before he steps off the platform. It's not sabotage if you're helping people make informed decisions. It's not revenge if you're just recommending better options. At least that's what Alec tells himself as he hits send on the 4th email. The truth sits heavier in his chest. He knows exactly what these emails will do. These clients aren't just accounts. They're the foundation of Warren and Associates' income. Lose them, and the whole structure becomes unstable. But Alec didn't take them. He just stopped holding them up. There's a difference. A thin one, maybe. But it exists in the space between action and absence, between burning a bridge and simply walking away from it. He closes the laptop and looks around the hotel room that's been his home for 2 weeks. The extended stay America off I-25, with its kitchenette and industrial carpet and view of the parking lot. It's temporary. Everything feels temporary right now, which is somehow comforting. Tomorrow, he'll start looking at apartments in Colorado Springs, 70 miles south. Close enough to still have his Colorado contractor's license. Far enough that he won't run into Selene at the King Soopers or see Jace's van at the hardware store. A fresh start isn't running away if you're running toward something better. He's still telling himself that when sleep finally comes. The divorce paperwork arrives at the apartment on a Tuesday. Selene calls Alec 17 times that day. 17 calls that go straight to voicemail because Alec's phone now has a new number and only 5 people have it. His mother, his lawyer, his accountant, and 2 old friends from trade school who live out of state. Selene isn't on that list. What Alec doesn't know, what he won't know for months, is that Selene is sitting on the apartment floor when she signs the papers. The same apartment they picked out together, where they painted the bedroom a soft gray because she said it made her feel calm. She's surrounded by boxes because the lease is up in 2 months, and she can't afford to renew it alone. Her graphic design freelancing barely covers her car payment. The joint accounts are frozen pending the divorce settlement. And Jace, who seemed so exciting and attentive during the affair, who made her feel seen and wanted in ways Alec had stopped doing, or so she told herself, has become someone else entirely. Someone stressed, bitter, constantly on his phone, dealing with business problems he won't fully explain. She signs her name on the divorce papers with a pen that's running out of ink, having to trace over her signature 3 times to make it visible. You think you know where this is going. You don't. Drop a comment with your prediction, because what happens next defies every revenge story you've ever heard. Noah calls Jace on a Wednesday morning. Hey man, got your invoice for the Lakewood building. Listen, I think there's been some confusion. I'm going with Mountain Plumbing for this project. Jace, halfway through his second energy drink of the morning, frowns. What? We've been planning this for months. Alec did the whole estimate. Right, Alec. He actually reached out to me, recommended these guys. Said you two were splitting up the business. He what? Yeah, seemed like he wanted to make sure I was taken care of. Professional of him, honestly. Anyway, no hard feelings, but I'm going with his recommendation. Derek's team seems solid. The call ends. Jace sits in the van, his van now, just his, with the magnetic door signs that suddenly feel too big, and feels the first tremor of an earthquake he doesn't yet understand. Noah was a $45,000 contract. His biggest renovation yet. 2 days later, Scott calls. Same story. Alec reached out, made a recommendation. Sorry, but he's going with the other guys. Then Natalie. Then Lizzie. In the span of 1 week, Jace watches $180,000 in projected revenue vanish like smoke. Contracts he'd counted on, jobs he'd already planned around, clients he thought were locked in because they'd always used Warren and Associates. Except they hadn't used Warren and Associates. They'd used Alec. The business isn't dying. It's already dead. Jace just hasn't finished bleeding out yet. He shows up at the apartment that evening, the one he's been staying at more and more, because his own studio in 5 Points feels empty and because Selene needs him, or so he tells himself, and finds her in the kitchen, staring at her laptop. We need to talk, Jace says. Selene looks up. She's wearing one of Alec's old CU Boulder t-shirts, the one that's worn soft from 100 washes. It's the only thing she kept that belonged to him, and Jace notices it, hates it, says nothing about it. About what? The business is fucked. Like completely fucked. I lost 4 major contracts this week. All because of Alec. This gets her attention. What did he do? Recommended competitors to every major client we had lined up. Went out of his way to make sure they didn't use me. Selene processes this. On her laptop screen, Facebook is open to Alec's profile. He hasn't posted anything in weeks. His last status update is from March. A photo of a completed bathroom renovation with the caption "Good work with good people." Nothing personal. No hints about his life, his feelings, his whereabouts. It's driving her insane. That's not like him, she says quietly. Apparently it is like him. Apparently this is exactly like him. Jace starts pacing, the same trapped animal movement he had in the hotel room. I can't cover the van payment next month. Equipment rental is due. I've got jobs scheduled, but they're all small shit, residential service calls. Nothing that keeps the lights on. I need those contracts back. Can you call them? Explain what happened. Explain what? That my business partner left because I was fucking his wife? That'll definitely win them back. The words land between them like broken glass. Selene closes her laptop. Don't put this on me, she says. I'm not. You are. You're saying this is my fault. Isn't it? The argument that follows is their third that week. The same circular logic. Whose fault is the affair? Who made the first move? Who's suffering more now? It goes nowhere because there's nowhere for it to go. They're trapped in a situation of their own making, and the walls are closing in. What neither of them says, what hangs in the air unspoken. They're not even sure they like each other outside the thrill of the forbidden romance. The sneaking around was exciting. The actual relationship is just hard and expensive and built on sand. Alec finds an apartment in Colorado Springs in late June. It's a 2-bedroom unit in a quiet complex near Rockrimmon with a small balcony that overlooks Pikes Peak. The rent is $200 less than what he was paying in Denver, and the place has a community woodshop in the clubhouse that residents can use. He signs the lease and moves in over a weekend, hauling his stuff in the truck that now only has his name on the insurance. His belongings fit in 21 boxes, which seems like a small amount for 33 years of life. But most of what he owned was tangled up with Selene. Their furniture, their kitchen supplies, their shared history made physical. He kept his tools, his clothes, his late father's watch, and a photo album from before the marriage. Everything else he left behind or replaced with cheap Walmart alternatives. Starting over means traveling light. The first night in the new apartment, Alec sits on his balcony with a beer from the Safeway down the street and watches the sunset paint the mountains orange and purple. His phone, the new number that nobody from his old life has, sits silent on the patio table. There's a recreational softball league that plays at Palmer Park. He saw a flyer in the apartment lobby. Games on Tuesday evenings, casual but competitive, always looking for new players. There's the woodshop downstairs. He's always wanted to learn furniture making, something tactile and real that he can create with his hands. There are new clients to find. Derek from Mountain Plumbing actually called him last week, thanking him for the referrals and offering to return the favor. 2 property management companies in the Springs are looking for reliable plumbers. Alec has interviews next week. If you're wondering whether revenge always has to be loud to be effective, stick around. Because Alec's about to prove that silence is the sharpest weapon. His phone doesn't ring or buzz with texts from Selene demanding closure or explanations. His phone doesn't even light up with Jace's number trying to negotiate or blame or beg. Because they don't have this number, address, or anything of him anymore. And that absence is starting to hollow them out in ways Alec will never see, but they'll feel forever. 2 months later, Alec joins the softball league. He's terrible at first, rusty from years of not playing, but his teammates are patient and the games are fun. After one particularly good win, they all go to Bingo Burger on Nevada Avenue, and Alec finds himself laughing at a stupid joke about dropped pop flies, genuinely laughing, and realizes it's the first time he's felt light in months. He takes 2 woodworking classes at the clubhouse. His first project is a simple cutting board. It's uneven and has visible tool marks, but he made it with his own hands, and it's his. He gives it to his mother for her birthday. She cries. Work is steady. Word spreads in the Colorado Springs contractor community that Alec's reliable, skilled, fair. He gets calls for jobs. Not huge contracts yet, but enough to pay the bills and save a little. He buys better tools. Rents a small storage unit for equipment. Considers getting business cards printed, but decides to wait. No rush. The apartment becomes home slowly. He hangs curtains. Buys plants for the balcony. Arranges his father's watch on a small shelf he built himself. On Sunday mornings, he hikes trails around Garden of the Gods. On Friday nights, he sometimes goes to the movies alone. On Saturday afternoons, he works in the woodshop, learning to use a lathe, understanding how grain and pressure and patience combine to create something beautiful from raw material. He doesn't date, doesn't look for it, doesn't avoid it, just doesn't prioritize it. He's rebuilding his foundation, and that work requires being alone with himself, comfortable in his own company, not looking for someone else to validate his existence. His social media accounts stay dormant. No posts about his new life, no photos of mountain sunsets or finished woodworking projects. He's living his life, not performing it. And that's what will eventually drive Selene insane. The absolute silence. The complete void where Alec Warren used to be. In Denver, things are falling apart with the methodical certainty of a poorly built structure. Warren and Associates officially closes in October. Jace tries to keep it going, really tries, but the math doesn't work. Without the big contracts, without Alec handling the complicated jobs and the client relationships, it's just Jace with a van and dwindling savings and a mounting pile of debt. He sells the van, sells the equipment, takes a job working for one of the competitors, the same companies Alec recommended to their former clients. The irony is sharp enough to draw blood. He makes $24 an hour now. Before, as a business owner, he was clearing 6 figures. Selene's graphic design work isn't enough to cover her expenses. She moves out of the Capitol Hill apartment and into a cheaper place in Edgewater, a studio that smells like the previous tenant's cigarettes. She takes a part-time job at a Target on Alameda Avenue, stocking shelves and running register, because freelance income is too unpredictable. She hates it. Hates the fluorescent lights, the mandatory khakis, the customer service smile she has to wear. This isn't how her life was supposed to go. She's 32 years old, and she's right back where she was at 23, starting over, except this time it's worse because she knows what she had, what she threw away. The affair with Jace ends not with drama, but with exhaustion. They try to stay together, they really do, but the foundation was always rotten. Built on betrayal and excitement, it collapses under the weight of real life. The stress, the blame, the constant comparison to what they each lost. They break up in December. Mutual decision. No hard feelings, they tell each other, but that's a lie. There are plenty of hard feelings, sharp and jagged, cutting them both. Jace moves back to his studio in 5 Points. Selene stays in her cigarette-scented shoebox in Edgewater. They don't talk anymore. Don't even hate each other enough to argue. They're just 2 people who ruined their lives together and now have to live with the consequences separately. And through it all, Alec never calls. Never reaches out. Never gloats, explains, or offers closure. He's just gone. Hit that subscribe button if you understand that the cruelest thing you can do to someone who betrayed you isn't revenge. It's moving on like they never mattered. Selene starts looking for Alec in January. Not actively, not obsessively, but in the quiet moments when she's alone in her studio apartment, scrolling through her phone instead of sleeping. She checks his Facebook profile. Nothing new. His Instagram is the same, months old, nothing personal. She tries to find him through mutual friends, but most of their friends were really his friends, and they've all quietly distanced themselves from her after hearing what happened. She Googles Alec Warren Plummer, Colorado, and finds nothing. No new business listing, no reviews, no digital footprint at all. It's like he vanished. She tells herself she just wants to know he's okay, that she wants to apologize properly, explain her side, maybe find some kind of closure for both of them. But that's not quite true. What she really wants is evidence that he's suffering, that the divorce hurt him, that she mattered enough to leave a mark. Because if he's fine, if he moved on easily, then what does that say about their 6 years together? What does that say about her? She tries his old phone number. Disconnected. She sends an email to the address he used for the business. Bounces back. In February, she drives to his mother's house in Aurora. Parks across the street, watches the windows for an hour like a stalker, feels pathetic, drives away. She doesn't knock. Doesn't want to face his mother's judgment. Doesn't want to hear confirmation that Alec has moved on and is thriving, and never mentions Selene's name. The silence is maddening because it's absolute. No anger she can argue against. No pain she can soothe. No connection at all, positive or negative. Just emptiness where a person used to be. She finds herself crying sometimes, late at night, not even sure what she's crying about. The marriage. The affair. The consequences? Or is it simpler than that? Is she crying because she made a choice and it was the wrong one, and there's no undo button, no way to go back and choose differently? One night in March, almost a year after everything fell apart, Selene sits on her apartment floor with her laptop and types out a long email to Alec. She pours everything into it. The regret, the explanation, the apology she never gave him. She explains that she was confused, that the marriage had felt stale, that Jace paid attention to her in ways Alec had stopped doing. She admits it was wrong. Admits she hurt him. Asks if they can talk, just once, just for closure. She reads it 3 times. Edits it. Reads it again. Then she deletes it. Because what's the point? He's made his position clear. His silence is his answer. Sending the email would just be forcing him to reject her again, and she's not sure she can handle that. She's not sure she can handle confirmation that she's irrelevant. So she closes the laptop and goes to bed and tries not to think about the fact that she destroyed something real for something temporary, and the person she destroyed it with doesn't care enough to hate her. Indifference is so much worse than anger. Spring arrives in Colorado Springs with wildflowers and longer days. Alec's been here almost a year now. The apartment is fully furnished, mostly with pieces he built himself in the woodshop. His softball team made the playoffs last season. His client list has grown to the point where he's considering hiring a helper, maybe taking on an apprentice. He's learning to be alone. Not lonely, alone. There's a difference he's starting to understand. Lonely means missing something. Alone means being complete without needing someone else to fill the gaps. He goes on hikes every Sunday morning, explores trails around Garden of the Gods, around Red Rock Canyon, sometimes just drives up to the summit of Pikes Peak and sits there with a thermos of coffee, watching the world wake up below him. His softball teammates invite him out for drinks after games. He goes sometimes, laughs at their jokes, contributes to conversations about sports and work and life. But he doesn't feel the need to perform or impress. He's just there, present, participating without agenda. He's working on a new project in the woodshop, a bookshelf 4 feet tall, with curved edges and dowel joinery. It's the most complex thing he's attempted. He works on it in the evenings, taking his time, enjoying the process. There's something meditative about it, measuring twice, cutting once, sanding until the wood feels like silk under his fingers. His phone rings. Unknown Colorado number. He almost doesn't answer, but it could be a potential client. This Alec Warren? Speaking. Hey man, this is Kyle Morris from Mountain Plumbing. Derek gave me your number. We're bidding on a huge mixed-use development in Castle Rock. Developer wants multiple contractors on it, and Derek suggested we team up. You interested? Alec steps out onto his balcony. The evening air is cool, and Pikes Peak is turning gold in the sunset. Tell me more, he says. The conversation lasts 20 minutes. By the end, Alec's smiling. It's a massive project, the kind that could establish him as a serious contractor in the Springs. Good money, good contacts, good opportunity. He hangs up and stands there, looking at the mountains, feeling something he hasn't felt in a long time. Anticipation, excitement, hope for the future. Not hope that Selene will suffer or satisfaction in Jace's failure. Just genuine, uncomplicated hope for his own life, independent of anyone else's story. If you're still watching this, you understand something most people miss. The best revenge isn't destruction. It's construction. Building something so good that the past becomes irrelevant. Like this video. Show it by hitting that like button. He goes back inside, opens his laptop, and starts researching the Castle Rock development. Takes notes. Makes a list of questions for Kyle. Gets genuinely excited about the logistics, the challenges, the creative problem-solving the job will require. His phone is sitting next to the laptop. He glances at it, realizes he hasn't thought about Selene in weeks. Maybe months. She's become a character in a story he used to tell himself, less real every day, fading into the past where she belongs. That night, he sleeps well. Dreams about nothing he'll remember. Wakes up ready for the day. The Castle Rock project is massive, challenging, exactly what he needed. Alec hires 2 apprentices, young guys fresh out of trade school, eager to learn. He teaches them the way his own mentors taught him, with patience, with attention to detail, with the understanding that every job is a reputation being built. He takes weekend trips alone, drives to Durango, to Telluride, to places he's never been because he and Selene always talked about traveling but never actually did it. He discovers he likes traveling alone. No compromises on the itinerary. No worrying about someone else's comfort or complaints. Just him, the road, and whatever he wants to see. He finishes the bookshelf project. It's beautiful, walnut wood with a hand-rubbed oil finish, joints so tight they don't need glue. He keeps it in his living room, uses it for the books he's been collecting. Woodworking guides, biographies, a few novels his mother recommended. His business grows steadily. Word spreads in the Colorado Springs contractor community that Alec's reliable, skilled, fair. More calls come in. Better projects. He opens a small office space, hires another employee, then another. Alec Warren Plumbing Services, LLC becomes a name people trust. One evening, he's sitting on his balcony with a beer, watching the sunset paint Pikes Peak in shades of orange and purple. His phone buzzes with a text from one of his apprentices asking a technical question about a job they're working on tomorrow. Alec answers it, offers some advice, adds a word of encouragement. He sets the phone down and realizes something. He's content. Not happy in the explosive, euphoric sense. Not thrilled or excited or any of those high-energy emotions that burn bright and fast. Content. Satisfied with his life, his work, his choices. Comfortable in his own skin. At peace with being alone because he's learned that being alone doesn't mean being incomplete. He doesn't need someone else to validate his existence. Doesn't need external proof that he's worthy or desirable or enough. He just is. And that's more than enough. Somewhere in Denver, Selene checks Alec's social media one last time. Still nothing. And finally closes the tab, the silence louder than any words could ever be. Jace takes another hourly wage job. The business long collapsed, both of them living with consequences they built themselves. But Alec doesn't know any of this. Doesn't need to. Their stories have diverged completely, and his path leads somewhere they can never follow. If this story hit different than you expected, hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me whether Alec did the right thing. And subscribe to the Narrator of Nuance for more stories where justice isn't loud, it's inevitable. Alec's sitting on his back porch on a Saturday morning, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise. His softball team has practice later. He's got a woodworking class at the community college in the afternoon, advanced joinery techniques. Tomorrow he'll visit his mother in Aurora, bring her the cutting board he just finished making. His life is full, rich, meaningful, built on a foundation of his own making. He takes a sip of coffee, feels the warmth spread through his chest. The mountains are turning pink in the early light. A neighbor walks by with their dog, waves. Alec waves back. This is the moment. Right here. This is what he chose instead of staying mired in betrayal and anger and the need for retribution. He chose this. Peace. Purpose. A life that's entirely his own. The phone doesn't ring with desperate calls from his past. The mailbox doesn't fill with letters begging for closure. There are no dramatic confrontations, no tearful apologies, no last-minute realizations. There's just silence. Complete, absolute, liberating silence. And in that silence, Alec has found something more valuable than revenge could ever be. Himself. The end. If this story taught you something about revenge, closure, or moving on, do me a favor. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the Narrator of Nuance for more stories about the quiet power of walking away. Comment below. Did Alec get the ending he deserved? The truth about revenge. Sometimes the most devastating thing you can do to someone who betrayed you isn't to destroy them. It's to move on so completely that they become irrelevant. To build a life so good that their absence becomes a gift. To find peace so profound that their chaos can't reach you. That's the unintentional avalanche. You don't push the snow. You just remove the barrier that was holding it in place. And gravity does the rest. Thanks for watching. Remember, the best revenge isn't destruction. It's construction. Build something so good that the past becomes irrelevant. Until next time, this is the Narrator of Nuance. Stay strong. Stay silent when you need to. And always, always know your worth.